Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for BroadwayWorld. The delightful musical Dames at Sea is coming to Broadway's Helen Hayes Theatre. Directed and choreographed by Randy Skinner, it will open on October 22nd. And we drop by the rehearsal studio to meet the company and bring you a sneak peek.
Kick out the gloom today. Good times are here to stay.
This was so exciting. First of all, welcome back to Broadway with Dames at Sea.
Thank you. What an honor. A complete honor to be trusted with this beloved show that is finally making its Broadway debut.
Isn't that wild?
Yes! I think if you ask most people, they'd say, oh, that was on Broadway in the 60s. And they're like, actually, it wasn't. It sort of started the off-Broadway movement and then was such a huge success and moved to off-Broadway and ran, of course, a long, long time. Made a star of a little actress named Bernadette Peters. But yeah, this is the first time it's on the main stem, so to speak. And we've got big orchestrations by Jonathan Tunick, a little fella you may have heard of, and wonderful new dance arrangements by Rob Berman.
Well, I adore the show. I was taken at 7 years old by my grandmother to the Bowery Lane. I saw Bernadette. I saw all the originals in this. It was wild to go down there, but I fell madly in love with this musical.
Sure.
Did you know the show before you started this?
I did. I had never done the show, but as the cast album collector, and I must have every cast album.
Columbia Records.
Thank you very much. And it had fantastic album cover art.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to say, I love our art, though. Our poster art's gorgeous. But yeah, I had the record and listened to it a lot. And then my voice outgrew all of Joan's material. So now I'm playing the captain in Hennessy. But you know, so many people have such affection for this show. People, you'll say, I'm doing Dames at Sea. Oh, I did that in high school or college, or I love that show. And it's so fun to be a part of that.
Working with this company.
Oh my gosh, these youngins keep me on my toes, literally. Wow, just learning this amazing, beautiful, the real deal choreography by the amazing Randy Skinner. The fact that I get to do this character guy gets to jump in and play with this is amazing, and I'm learning a lot, and their patience is very high with me, but I'm having so much fun.
Because you work with some incredible director choreographers. That man makes you tap.
Oh, we're tapping. And not just that. I mean, we're to the whole thing, and Lesli and I have a big tango number that it just makes us laugh. And yeah, we're all doing it all.
What are you looking forward to the most with coming to Broadway and Dames at Sea?
Well, I'm looking forward to the most, again, just being a part of this wonderful show. But I'm looking forward to the audience smiling from ear to ear for 2 hours. I think that's what the best reward will be. It's a wonderful, adorable show, and I cannot wait for people to embrace it the way we have.
So here we are. How great was that for you doing these numbers here?
It was frightening, but it was so great, and I was so excited watching everybody else perform. I was like, oh my God, we have a show! It's really exciting. Fun to show what we've been working on.
How well did you know this show before you started this?
I did the show in college at UCLA. I was Ruby, now I'm Mona. So I knew it, I loved it, and just figured, I thought it had been on Broadway. I just figured, and then when this came around, I was like, oh, they have to do this on Broadway. It's so funny, and there's a cult following for it, which surprised me. But I guess a lot of schools have done it. I mean,
Everyone's done Dames at Sea. It's really that wonderful feel-good musical.
yeah. Oh, it's such an uplifting show. It's hysterical. I don't think people know what they're in for. It's really, really funny. And the tapping is, as you saw, is just insane. And we're all tapping and we're all doing everything. There's only 6 of us. Can't hide. So we're working our butts off.
What's the coolest thing about playing Mona Kent?
Oh, please. She is the diva of all divas. It is like free reign to be as crazy and all those things that you think in your head, she does. So it's the most fun ever.
Working with Randy Skinner.
He's an icon. I mean, I grew up, I knew who he was my entire career. He is literally the bridge from old school to now. And he's the knowledge that man has and the people he's worked with, it's an honor for all of us, and we know it.
And this cast?
Crazy! 6 true triple threats, which you really don't find anymore. And we all have the same sense of humor. We're all nutty. It's a blast. It's been a blessing and a blast.
And tap dancing.
Tap dancing, and it had been a minute. Obviously, like I hadn't done any in Matilda, so it had been a minute, and immediately we got right back into it, and that's the most fun. It's so much fun. Is bringing that.
What are you looking forward to the most with bringing this to Broadway?
My clothes. My costumes are to die for. No, I think just seeing people's reactions, they're gonna go nuts for it. I know it.
How cool is this?
It's so cool. I mean, if we're going to Broadway. Broadway's a little as big a show,
Did you know the show before you started this?
Absolutely not. They said audition for a Randy Skinner show. I said, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. There's no way I could tap like that. And then I went in and Randy said, you. And I said, oh, okay, great. And so we did the workshop about 1.5 years ago, and it was just so much fun. And now that we're working right through it, it's going to be a very quick show.
Yeah.
But we're having a blast. It's just number after number after number. And I think the way that they've sort of modernized it, so to speak, is going to play very well with the audiences.
It's like putting on a show really fast.
Exactly. And one good thing is that since the writers are no longer with us, the material is intact. And so we're basically just doing what's there and just running with it. It's so much fun. It's such a blast to be up there.
Talk about this iconic role.
Oh man, well it's kind of funny because in the show I play a Broadway hopeful dancer singer who plays the piano, so it's kind of right up my alley. And one of my favorite lines in the show is Broadway, I'll lick you yet. Yeah. And I felt that way, But it's great working with Randy and to have someone who wears both the hats, director and choreographer. That's always a fantastic treat. And we're just having such a blast. Also being surrounded by these enormously talented individuals, it challenges us. It's not a competition as much as it is we are constantly eking each other on to get better and better and better. And I'm in heaven, just in heaven.
So what was your callback like?
It was scary. When you're in there and you see some of the people who you say, oh, okay, I saw him in a Broadway show, I saw this guy in a Broadway show, this is his 10th Broadway show that he's on, and to be amongst, I say, some of the greatest dancers in New York, ergo possibly some of the greatest dancers in the world, and then to get that call is just a dream come true. It's really amazing. And we truly sweep our glooms away. I walk to work every day humming the tunes from the show, and it is not going to be the slightest bit heavy. It is so lighthearted.
For us, what was it like for you today?
Oh, so exciting to start our journey, to set sail on the journey of Dames at Sea.
You're playing Lucky. What a great role.
I know, yeah, it's so much fun. He's so fun and up for a good time, and he's a hoofer too, so it's nice to step into that. And especially opposite Davi. I mean, that's a dream. So, yeah.
Did you know the show before you started?
I didn't, no. So I did the workshop 1.5 years ago, so I got to approach it with fresh eyes and really take in everything. And it was great. It's so much fun.
What was your callback like?
Oh gosh, I had multiple callbacks. Oddly enough, they called me in for Dick too, so I was like learning both sides at the same time. And I was like, okay. And then I remember the one, they were like, okay, great. Can we do the other side? And I said, yeah. Can I step outside? So it was great though. But I had multiple callbacks, and the most fun part for me was the dance callback. Yeah.
So you danced for Randy.
Yes.
And he makes you guys tap. That's the real deal. That's like MGM tap.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's amazing. And this is the first time I worked with Randy 1.5 years ago was. Yeah. And so I was definitely nervous the first time I auditioned for this with him.
How'd you find out you got it?
my agent called me. And yeah, it was that simple. He said, "You got Dames?" And I was ecstatic. I was just
Working with this great company.
oh my gosh, this company is every day I come in and I'm so excited. And somebody asked if I have a talent crush in the cast, and I have to say all of them are my talent crush because everybody brings such joy and honesty and happiness, and they're really taking the piece, the creative team, everybody using such kid gloves, and you know, yeah.
What are you looking forward to the most with bringing Dames at Sea to Broadway?
Honestly, I think the dances and just the end of Startar, and there's such, in the humor, there's so much funny stuff in this show. I'm excited about all of it. Yeah.
This was so exciting. What was today like for you?
It was pretty crazy. I mean, this is the first time we've been in the studio room. It's the first time we've had people watching what we do, and it was really exciting.
Take me back to your callback or your audition. How did you find out you got it, and what was the callback like?
It was a process. I mean, I auditioned, I danced, and then I read and sang, and then I had to dance some more, and then I had to do some work sessions, and then I had to do everything for the producers, and it was a process, and then I had to wait about a week, and I didn't hear anything, so I was like, I kind of like wrote it off a little bit, and then my agents called me and were like, hey, can you stop by the office? We need to like update some paperwork. And I was like, okay. So I went to the office, unassuming. I had like just been to yoga class. I looked so gross, and they had videoed me walking in, sitting down. I started filling out this paperwork, and then I stopped, and they were like, no, there's more. And I was like, okay. So I'm flipping the page. It's like a blank page, and then I flipped the page, and it was like a piece of paper that was like, you're playing Ruby in Dames at Sea on Broadway. And I was like, oh my gosh, because it was just so unexpected.
You have the coolest agents.
I do. They're amazing.
So this is such an iconic role. It made Bernadette Peters a star. I mean, what's it like, based on Ruby Keeler herself? I mean, what's it like taking on this role?
It's definitely a challenge because there's so much hype around it, and there's so much, build up. And I think when people come and see the show, they'll see how the character is very innocent. She's very simple. She's just a simple girl from Utah. She says that a couple times, and I think the understatedness of her and how she is so, she falls in love, she falls out of love, she has this journey, and then she steps up to being the star of the show. It's a journey that a lot of people kind of imagine they might have when they move to New York. So.
And working with this cast.
Oh my gosh, I would have, if you would have told me 2 years ago I'd be working with all these people, I would have turned away and laughed. I would have been like, no way. So everyone is so talented. Everyone blows it out of the water every single day, and Randy's amazing, and Rob Berman's amazing. It's just all the pieces of the puzzle are so great.
So I was going to ask you, Randy Skinner, you're tap dancing like MGM. This is the real deal. What's it like working with Randy and learning those steps?
It's great, I have a tap background, which helps a lot. So Randy and I really get to play, and every day it's adding new steps, new finesses to the number to make it that much better. And so it's really exciting, I think, for both of us. I mean, I would hope that we like to challenge each other a little bit and be like, how about we add this? How about we add that? So it's really cool.
What are you looking forward to the most with being on Broadway in Dames at Sea?
I'm looking forward to transporting people back to the 1930s and transporting people back to this time of big musicals in our little space, and just giving them a good time for 2 hours.
This was so exciting. What is it like for you working on Dames at Sea?
My gosh, it's it's a dream come true. I've loved this show since I saw it when I was 12 years old in Denver, Colorado. I played Ruby in college, and so I'm stoked to graduate to Joan, sing the cheer up anthem of the show, Good Times Are Here to Stay, and do another show with Randy Skinner. It feels like home whenever I'm doing Randy's choreography.
Oh, I love Joan. Joan's a sassy one. Joan Blondell.
Yeah, Joan Blondell, she's sassy, she's got the wisecracks, and she's just keeping everyone in their place and keeping the peace.
And then working with this cast.
Oh my gosh, our cast is amazing. It really is a group of triple threats, or the double triple threat, as Randy likes to say. Everyone's dancing, everyone's singing, everyone's hilarious. So it's playtime.
It's an incredible ensemble. Is how many of you? 6?
There's 6 of us. Yeah, there's just 6 of us doing everything. It's kind of like a revolving door, you know. One person comes in and does their number, and then the next person comes in and does their number, and we're all backing each other up and, you know, changing the mixture. It's fun. I was saying earlier, it's like the next step after vaudeville. You know, you can kind of imagine everyone had their act. Like myself with Danny Gardner, we would have been that like Fred and Adele team, you know, putting on their dance. And so then you get a moment to come out and shine.
So let's talk about Randy Skinner. It's the real deal. I mean, this is like MGM tapping, and it doesn't get any better than this.
Yes, Randy Skinner is MGM tap. It doesn't. He's built up every dance number, expanded every dance number from any Dames at Sea production you've ever seen before. I can't even tell you how many tap numbers there are in the show. I'm going to say 4, but I'm not exactly sure. There's a lot. And then there's a swing number and a ballroom number. You know, anywhere that you can add a turn or float across the stage, we're doing it.
You've worked with Randy before, so do you have a shorthand with him?
I do. My body feels really at home doing his choreography. You know, there is a look, there's a style, there's an ease to it. So your feet are flying, but you're gliding across the stage. It feels really comfortable in my body now.
What was your callback like, and how'd you find out you got the role?
Oh, golly. So I did this lab back in 2013. So my audition for it was a long time ago, and I'm so glad to finally be here doing this now. I auditioned here at Pearl, sang Good Times Are Here to Stay, and I believe I just had that one audition and I got the offer, which was really cool. And then I got to come read with some boys, and they were all phenomenal. But there is definitely a chemistry with Danny that is still palpable. We just love challenging each other to be goofier and more crazy and have more fun, you know.
What are you looking forward to the most with bringing Dames at Sea to Broadway?
What am I looking forward to the most? Being on Broadway. I'm very happy to be, you know, back on the Great White Way, and I'm really looking forward to hearing people's reactions. Those who have loved the show forever and are so happy to finally see it on the Broadway floor, and then also those who have never heard of it, who are seeing it for the first time. I'm just really excited to hear what people have to say, because I think it'll warm their hearts. I think they'll like it.
Okay, I was telling people, my grandmother took me to see this at the Bowery Lane. That was my first incarnation of Dames at Sea. Fell madly in love with it. Fell in love with the cast album. Have seen many productions across, you know, the East Coast of New York as I can. When did you first fall in love with this show?
When Randy Skinner called me about it about 3 years ago, I had never seen it, never done it. I knew of it, certainly, and I knew a lot of people who had been in productions, and I knew sort of a little bit about it. And I listened to that recording and fell in love with the score. I think it's so fun and wonderful, and the songs, which were written to be a Valentine to this period of movie musicals, the songs are great songs in their own right. You know.
I was obsessed the first time I saw that, and then I remember the Columbia Cast album. I think I burned through like 3 or 4 of them. It's all been reorchestrated, right?
Yeah, well, the original album was orchestrated by Jonathan Tunick, a very young Jonathan Tunick, because the original production was just 2 pianos and a drummer, I think. And he orchestrated the album, and so we hired Jonathan to orchestrate this version. It's going to be an 8-piece band, you know, and we'll be tucked in the wing of the Helen Hayes Theatre. But I'm so excited. Any chance to work with Jonathan is always a treat, and he's we're going to hear next week. We have our first band rehearsal, and I'm sure it's going to be wonderful.
And working with his company and working with Randy Skinner.
Well, Randy and I go back to State Fair. I was the assistant musical director. That was 20 years ago. And then we came back together to do White Christmas for many, many years. And we're great friends, and he's a dream to collaborate with and to work with. And there's no one better for this show. There really isn't.
I mean, he taps. This is like MGM tapping.
Exactly. That's the thing, is that these numbers and the level of tapping and dancing are going to be at a very high level that numbers really would have been at in these films. So it's so authentic what Randy brings to it.
In working with this ideal cast.
They're adorable and talented and warm, and we're having a ball. They're all wonderful, and I worked with most of them before, but never worked with Lesli, and she's a hoot, and I love her, and everyone's just terrific.
What are you looking forward to the most with bringing Dames at Sea to Broadway?
I think that a lot of people don't know the show and don't know what it is, and maybe have heard of it like I had but never seen it, and I think people are going to fall in love with it.
This was so exciting, opening your rehearsal room for us. What was today like for you?
It's just great to see the numbers come together after 2.5 weeks of rehearsal. That's what we're only in the middle of our third week. Can you believe that? But that's when you have a cast like this, that's what happens. You have such dedication, commitment, talent, technique to pull off this level of tapping, this level of dancing. It's a joy every day to go in and work with these people.
Because I was telling them, this is like MGM tapping. I told them all, I said, this is the real deal.
You get it.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of my shows, a lot of my work, and I can only choreograph when you have the dancers that can pull off. That's why I mentioned that idea of that triple threat dancer. Besides triple threat performer, the triple threat dancer of being able to move effortlessly between theater dance, ballroom, partnering, and this highly proficient level of tap, which is what you don't always get from people. People know enough tap to get by. But if you're really looking for the people to do what you just called that MGM level of tapping, that was Fred, Ginger, Jean, Eleanor Powell, Ann Miller, the list goes on. That's where the list is very short. Very short.
When did you first fall in love with this musical, and why did you fall in love with it?
1973, Ohio State University. I played the role of Dick and choreographed. And I just thought, this is a gem of a show. It just celebrates movie musicals, which is my love, my passion. And it just was released so quickly after the off-Broadway success to stock and amateur rights. So it was done all over the country, all over the world, but it's never had an organized national tour in America, and it never played Broadway. So then when I tried it out 3 years ago down in Annapolis, I've always wanted to revisit. I was looking for a show that would allow me to do my thing, but be small, to help producers. Because usually when you think of a show that's dance-driven, it's usually a big monster musical with lots of people. This is the ideal, to have 6 people in the cast, but then have all of this opportunity to do these production numbers. Yeah.
Why do you think the time is right now for Dames at Sea on Broadway?
I don't think people ever get tired of movies, the love of Hollywood. And I think whenever you have a show that deals with backstage musicals, how do you get a musical on? There seems to be a fascination with the public about show business, particularly about Hollywood. And then I think there's always a need for a wonderful show where everybody can come, sit back, and just smile. The score is so tuneful, as you know. It is such a incredible melodic score. And then with all of these new dance arrangements that Rob Berman has come up with, and then to hear it for the first time with an orchestra. We know the orchestra from the album, but then any time it's ever been done in New York off-Broadway, it was 2 pianos. So that's a lot of pluses on our side, and firsts, which I think is important. When you bring a show back, it is wonderful to reinvent it and make it for a current audience. I've learned, Richie, that the show is beloved by people who know it, and yet there's a world out there that know it because of Bernadette and the fact that it made Bernadette Peters a star, but they never saw a production of it. And so there's an excitement about wanting to see the show for the first time, and we have just such a great cast and creative team to make the Broadway premiere.